This is In the Circle on Fast Pitch News.
And we welcome you to this edition of D2 Tuesday here on the In the Circle YouTube channel. Victor Anderson here with you. Whew, we got a lot to talk about today, so I'm not going to waste any more time. Y'all know where to find our podcast. Rate us and review us 5 stars. You rate us 4 stars. In our podcast, we tend to believe that you are a hater. We got a lot to talk about this week. Not much time to talk about it, so we're going to get right into it. First and foremost, today we're going to talk about 2 conferences since we were off last week. We're going to talk about the Great American Conference, and we're going to talk about the Gulf South Conference. And there might be a team emerging that's not Auburn-Montgomery. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We're also going to break down the latest NFCA Top 25 that came out earlier today. And also, our game or games of the week will be taking place at the site where the Atlanta Olympics hosted softball in 1996. We will talk about all of that coming up on D2 Tuesday. Let's get right into the coaches poll that was announced earlier this afternoon. No real surprise in terms of who's on top. Rogers State, the defending national champions, once again maintained their top spot in the office, picking up 3 more victories this week. They are 9-1 overall, including a 3-2 win over Southern Arkansas, the Fighting Jason Andersons, who we'll be talking about in the poll in just a moment. Texas Tyler, North Georgia, maintaining number 2 and number 3 respectively. Tampa, who had the week off, they jump up to number 4. Seton Hill rounds out the top 5. The Patriots started Lone Star Conference play, sweeping Lubbock Christian 1-0, 12-4, 7-5, snapping the Lady Chaps 10-game winning streak. North Georgia, Mike Davenport and company, number 3, captures 6 wins at home, scoring 52 runs and posting 4 shutouts versus UNC Pembroke, King, and Lake Erie, respectively. Seton Hill start off the 2023 season with a doubleheader sweep over Wheeling. The big jumps are at number 6 and number 7. Cal State, San Marcos, Steph Ewing and company, thanks to an impressive sweep to start CCAA play. They jumped 7 spots from number 13 to number 6. And the aforementioned Southern Arkansas with Jason Anderson, they made the biggest jump from number 16 to number 7. Valdosta State, who took the series versus Mississippi College 2 out of 3 at Steel, Diamond, and Blazer Park, they jump up to number 8 for number 10. Lubbock Christian fell 1 slot to number 9, and the Bronchos of Central Oklahoma round out the top 10. 11 through 15, Adelphi, who kicked off their season last week going 3-1. They dropped 2 spots to number 11. Grand Valley State, who will be starting their season in the state of Florida. With the spring games, they fall from 1 spot to number 12. Looking forward to possibly seeing them later on this week or next week. I'll mention more about that later on shortly. Cal State Dominguez Hills took the biggest tumble. They fell 9 spots from number 4 to number 13. U of Indy holding steady at number 14, 8-2 start for the Greyhounds. Anderson, no relation, led by my pick for player of the year, Caitlin Boatner. They fall 3 spots from number 12 to number 15. Concordia goes up a spot to number 16. Alabama Huntsville with Les Studeman. They jump up 3 spots from 20 to 17. Lincoln Memorial drops 3 spots from 15 to 18. Oklahoma Christian goes up 3 spots to number 19. Washburn in the top 20, rounding out the top 25 this week. St. Mary's at number 21, lost to Division III powerhouse Texas Lutheran in a doubleheader last week. Simona State is at 22, jumping up 3 spots from number 25 last week. Lenore Ryan is at 23, and 2 new teams in the top 25 this week. The defending Sunshine State Conference co-champion Nova Southeastern with Coach Julie Lemaire jump in the top 25 at number 24, coming off a 3-game conference sweep over Florida Tech. And in the top 25 is Wilmington. Wilmington back in after having the week off. Falling out of the top 25 is Kutztown, number 18. Angelo State at number 23. Teams receiving votes, and a team that I'll be keeping my eye on in the next couple of weeks. Colorado Christian, St. Leo with Aaron Kimberger. The Lions are trying to get back in the Sunshine State Conference Championship picture. West Texas A&M, Angelo State, Auburn, Montgomery, Augustana, and Wingate are the other programs receiving votes in the NFCA poll this week. Now, what we're going to do with D2 Tuesday, We're going to work to try and get some coaches on the episodes as we get further along in the season. Hopefully we'll have the schedules work out where we can get some of those coaches on and bring those episodes to you each and every Tuesday here in the Inner Circle YouTube channel. Now, since we're D2 Tuesday, we talk about some of the conferences that will be highlighted. We'll try and hit up at least one conference every week throughout the 2023 regular season. Today, since we didn't have a D2 Tuesday last week, we're going to talk about not one, but two conferences. The first conference we're going to look at is the Great American Conference. Their player of the week, Grace Neal, third baseman for Arkansas Monticello, had a tremendous week, leading the Blossoms to a pair of doubleheader sweeps versus Delta State. Tremendous performance. Game one of the doubleheader had a game-tying two-out single that sent the game to extras, in which they won. Game 3 of the series had a 3-run home run, had 4 RBIs. And in the fourth and final game, hit a third home run of the series and delivered a 3-run double. The co-player of the week, along with her, Natalie Jones, junior second baseman from Southern Nazarene. The Crimson Storm went 4-1 at the Raising Cane's Softball Invitational. 444, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. And Sunday, against defending national champion Rogers State, hit the game-winning 2-run home run to knock off the defending national champions and put the so far lone blemish on the ledger of Rogers State, the Hellcats. So Natalie Jones, the co-player of the week with Grace Neal in the Great American Conference. Pitcher of the week, Kaylee Jones, Oklahoma Baptist. Third straight GAC pitcher of the week. So all 3 weeks there's been action in the GAC. The senior from Claremore, Oklahoma, has done the work. She is 8-1 on the season. She started the week with a 1-hit complete game win over Minnesota Duluth. Struck out 14 in that victory. And then all she did the next start was throw a no-hitter and throw 16 strikeouts versus Emporia State, her third career no-hitter. So Kaylee Jones, someone I think that will be definitely in the running for D2 Pitcher of the Year honors. Now, going into the season, Southern Arkansas was picked as the preseason favorite in the GAC. They picked up 7 of the 11 first-place votes in the conference. Picked up 7 of the 12 first-place votes in the conference. Harding came in second. Arkansas Tech, who lost their head coach, Christina McSweeney, making the jump from D2 to D1, going to South Dakota State. That has done very well for the Jackrabbits. They came in third. Oklahoma Baptist fourth. Southern Nazarene is fifth. They got Southeastern Oklahoma State, Arkansas Monticello, Wachua Baptist, East Central, Henderson State, Southwestern Oklahoma State, and Northwestern Oklahoma State, rounding out the top 10. We take a look at the conference standings. Conference play not yet in play. Harding up to a strong start. They've won 9 in a row, 13-2 overall. Southern Arkansas 12-2. Oklahoma Baptist 11-2, led predominantly by the outstanding work of Kaylee Jones, 3-time GAC Pitcher of the Week, and also last week took NFCA National Pitcher of the Week honors for her performance. Arkansas Monticello, they are at 7-4 on the Young campaign. Now, action in the GAC this week. Northwestern Oklahoma State has a huge opportunity tomorrow as they would take on the defending national champions Rogers State. And then you have Southern Arkansas battling East Central. Conference play again started this weekend with Arkansas Monticello taking on Southeastern Oklahoma State. Southern Arkansas, we mentioned, taking on East Central. Southern Nazarene taking on Arkansas State. That'll be one of the key matchups as GAC play gets ready to kick off this weekend. A conference that started play last weekend will be our next venture, the previous home of the Blossoms. Arkansas Monticello was a one-time member of the Gulf South Conference before joining the GAC in the early 2010s. The Gulf South started their conference play this past weekend. Alabama Huntsville and Auburn Montgomery victorious in their conference openers. Alabama Montgomery will look to continue that mark as they continue their conference schedule versus soon-to-be former conference pro Shorter, who will be moving to Conference Carolinas in a couple of years. Alabama Huntsville, with Les Studeman and company, off to a strong start, 3-0 on the season, 9-3 overall. We mentioned them jumping in the top 20 in the latest NFCA poll at number 17. And right now, they in Valdosta State, it feels a tale of oldest time that Valdosta State and Alabama Huntsville are the two low representatives of the Gulf South in the conference in the top 25. Valdosta State, we mentioned, taking 2 out of 3 versus Mississippi College. And Valdosta State coming into the game, we're only hitting .213 as a team and had an ERA of 4.41, but the Blazers found a way to get the job done, knocking off one of the most prolific offenses, not just in the Gulf South Conference, but in all of D2 softball. They won the series. They split the first 2 games of the series. They beat Mississippi College 8-0 in the first game of the doubleheader. Mississippi College came back, won the second game 7-4, and then Valdosta State won the pivotal game of the series 6-4 on Sunday afternoon in Valdosta. By the way, if you have not been to Steel Diamond at Blazer Park, one of the best facilities to watch Division II softball in America, as a person who's broadcasted from there a couple of times for regionals for Rollins, I can attest that they take their softball very seriously in Valdosta. Now, speaking of Valdosta, they'll be taking on Flagler in a non-conference doubleheader today at 4 and 6. West Georgia with a big opportunity tomorrow. They go to number 3 North Georgia in Dahlonega, Georgia, and take on Mike Davenport and company. By the way, we'll be working to try to have him on the podcast at some point in time. And then Alabama Huntsville will be participating in the NFCA Lead Off Classic, which we'll talk about that schedule in just a moment. And then Gulf South play continues the 2 series that I will be looking for in terms of how the conference will play out will be, number 1, Auburn-Montgomery. You mentioned one of the 2 undefeated teams in conference. They will be taking on West Alabama on the road. And then you have Valdosta State taking on Delta State. Alabama Huntsville, Auburn Montgomery, they are 3-0. Valdosta State, West Alabama, and Union off to 2-1 starts. West Florida, Montevallo, Delta State, all will begin conference play this weekend. West Florida will take on Union. Montevallo will take on Christian Brothers. And Delta State, as we referenced, will start their conference schedule at home versus Valdosta State. In terms of the players of the week for the conference, Molly Cobb was the player of the week for Auburn Montgomery. Hit a blistering .889, going 8 of 9, scored 4 runs, drove in 6, went 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored on a stolen base in game 2 of that series versus Christian Brothers. Madison Wright Jr., pitcher for West Alabama. She was the pitcher of the week, threw a no-hitter, had 11 Ks in a victory versus West Georgia. And then pitched in the series finale, struck out 6, giving up 3 runs on 8 hits, went 1-1 in the week of a 1.75 ERA and 17 Ks. Rebecca Comers, freshman from AUM, the freshman of the week, went 3 of 4 at the plate, homered in both contests that she played with 3 RBIs. So needless to say, the cupboard is not bare for AUM as they go into their league action. Now, the NFCA Division II Lead Off Classic taking place this weekend over at the beautiful South Common Softball Complex in Columbus, Georgia, which was the host site for the 1996 Summer Olympics in softball. We will have teams represented from 5 of the 8 regions, and there will be 20 teams in total making the trip to Georgia. Action will take place starting Friday morning. There'll be action in 5 fields and also in the main stadium. So I will give you my pick for the best game of the particular block that you can go out and go to. Starting at Friday 10 a.m., the game to look forward to in the main stadium will be Gannon versus Hillsdale, 2 teams that have made the postseason before that has a chance to try and get themselves back in that postseason picture in regionals. 12:30. Match I'll be looking for is going to be field number 5, Ohio Dominican versus Charleston. Charleston coached by someone who knows a thing or two about being in the NFCA D2 Lead Off Classic, Michelle Frew. Coach Frew, the one-time head coach at Rollins College. She's taken a Golden Eagle program and got them to a very competitive level, and now will be her second season at the helm of Charleston. 3 o'clock section, game I'm looking forward to is going to be in field number 3, Carson Newman taking on the local product Columbus State. And then to wrap up the action, 5:30, Field 5, a battle of top 25 teams. Number 25 Wilmington versus number 20 Alabama Huntsville to wrap up action on day 1. Day 2 kicks off at 10 p.m. Matchup to look forward to on field number 5. Field number 5, Columbus State versus Wilmington. But keep an eye out on field number 3, Hillsdale versus Bridgeport. 12:30 section, game to look forward to. Over at field number 1, Bridgeport taking on Ohio Dominican. Ohio Dominican just missed on getting the NCAA tournament a year ago, looking to pick that up in 2023. 3 o'clock section, field 4, Kelsey Dunn and Emory Riddle, who I think can surprise some people in the Sunshine State Conference. Florida making the tournament last year. They'll be taking on Carson Newman. That'll be on field 4. Also in the main stadium, Northern State takes on Alabama Huntsville. And then the 5:30 block of action, the game to look forward to will be field number 5 again, as Westchester takes on Northern State. And then the Sunday morning session at 9 a.m., the game to look forward to will be on field number 3, Cal U takes on Northern State. And then the final section, 11:30 a.m., action on all 5 fields and the stadium, Lincoln Memorial versus Charleston. So a prime opportunity for Coach Michelle Frew and her team to take on a Lincoln Memorial Ball Club who fell 3 spots in the latest poll, 15-5, coming into this week, number 18 in the NFCA D2 poll. That was a lot of softball that we got to talk about in this section of D2 Tuesday. We'll wrap things up with that. So we're going to be trying to keep on schedule as best as we can with D2 Tuesday. We'll be reaching out to some coaches, trying to bring them on D2 Tuesday. So you're going to see it expand a little bit as we get through 2023. And then, of course, with the regional rankings, they'll be coming out in early to late April. We'll give you our mock regional rankings around April. We'll really get in depth in conference play. Leagues, the Lone Star Conference, the Gulf South Conference, they already started conference play. And the Sunshine State Conference also started conference play as well. It says the CCAA, and the rest of the leagues will be following suit this week. So we're certainly excited to see how that will play itself out with Division II. As the road to Chattanooga is well on the way, we look forward to continuing that road with you until we crown a national champion. So that'll wrap it up for D2 Tuesday for today. Glad to be back on the microphone with you. Make sure you listen to our most recent episode of In the Circle. Eric Lopez, Justin McLeod, join yours truly as we recap our trip to Clearwater in Division I on the Tax Act Clearwater Invitational powered by Evo Shield. And I make references about my broadcast situation, which hopefully will be alleviated sooner rather than later. Also, check out of the Box, our podcast brethren, Gray Robinson and Tom Canterbury. They are celebrating their 100th episode this week. Eric Lopez will be a part of it. He'll be partaking in a trivia contest. Eric, if you're listening, I want to give you this message right now. If you lose this trivia contest, don't bother showing up on Thursday's episode. I'm just letting you know that right now. If you somehow lose that trivia contest, do not show up to the next episode. I will leave it at that. And I will leave you with that as well. So that will wrap up our D2 Tuesday for today. Thank you very much for listening to it. Again, we support it, like it, subscribe to it, rate us 5 stars on the YouTube channel, and we'll keep doing this going for you every Tuesday until we crown a national champion in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So until next time, I'm Victor Anderson. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of In the Circle D2 Tuesday. And as always, good night, Canada.